Hi guys, welcome back. This is our last video for Lab 7 DMVPN Phase 2 and Phase 3 with Dynamic Routing Protocol. So we will see when we require Phase 3 and when Phase 2 is enough to run the routing protocol. I'm gonna show you guys three protocols, RIP, not OSPF, EIGRP and BGP. So first verify that we have our DMVPN phase 2 is properly set up. So let's just verify it quickly by looking at the tunnel interface. As you can see that I have GRE multi-point setup and I only have the network ID. I have no IP split horizon, which I can remove, but I will keep it because I'm gonna use EIGRP or RIP the first way. And then if you look at router 2, you will see that we have one mapping to the server for both multicast and static entries, as well as we have NHS defined, and this is a multi-point interface. So this is phase 2, right? So we can see verify the same on router 3 and we can verify the same on router 4. By doing this, I can also verify that do I have any entry for NHRP. So you can see that router 4 has one entry, which is the static one towards the hub. If I look at the router 3, I have one entry, and if you look at router 2, I have one entry. So router 1 should have 3 entries. So as expected, router 1 has 3 entries. Now to enable RIP, I'm just gonna run normal RIP configuration. So I will say config T router RIP version 2, no auto summary, network 172.16.0.0 and network 10.1.234. or 10.0.0, right? And I'm gonna repeat this on router 2, router 3 and router 4. So to do that, I will just copy the commands from this one. So because I'm not going to change anything else, let me see where's my mouse is. There it is. So I will just copy it and I will paste it on all the routers. So I have to do config T, paste it, and then router 3, config T, paste it, and then router 4, config T, and paste it. Because I already have no IP split horizon there, so I should receive all the RIP routes. So if you see, I have all the RIP routes 1, 2 and 3. The point to note in RIP is that the hub is not changing the next hop IP, which is you can see it right here. So for 2.0, the hub is saying that you should go to 2. So in this scenario, no matter where I look at it, if you look at router 3, show IP route RIP, you see the same thing, and if I go to 2, you will see the same thing, right? So router 1, I have the routes 2, 172.16.2 coming from route number 2 to 34.2. 3 is also from 3 and 4 is from 4. So this 2 has the same entries, right? So they have proper next hops. So in this scenario, in DMVPN phase 2 scenario, if we are running router RIP, if I do a trace to, let's say, 2.2.2, in our case this is 172.16.2.2, and I source it with my loopback 0, the first packet will go to router 1, which is the hub, and the next packets, and if I look at, without sending a next packet, if I look at IP and HRP, you will see that I have 2 dynamic entries. You can see that I have entry for router 2, right? And if I look at my show IP route RIP or show IP route, I have nothing changed here, right, in this scenario. So if I do a trace again, it goes directly to 2, right? So in this scenario, as per my reading and understanding, we do not need to do redirect and shortcut, because redirect and shortcut is not gonna work for this scenario, for RIP scenario, right? I know nobody's gonna use RIP nowadays, and as we know that recommended protocol for DMVPN from Cisco is EIGRP. So that's the only thing we have to note here. Two things very important. One is that we should have no IP split horizon in place, so that the traffic can move from this hub router to other. The second thing to note is that I'm using, and this is important, I should show you guys, I'm using 15.73 M2 IOL version. This can be 15.7 ISV version, this can be any version, and you can see that my command tunnel IP NHRP map multicast dynamic is missing from the configuration. Actually it is not missing. If you look at show run all and you see a section of tunnel, you will see that this command is the default command. So even if I put it in, it's not going to show up in the configuration, right? So all you can see what other commands of NHRPs are there. We are using very base commands, as I told previously, and you can see all the RIP commands which are already in place. So you can see authentic mode text is already in place now. So this is a good things to see. We have so many things going on. So these are all the default commands in place, and then there are some commands we adjusted, right? It's a long list on an interface. Well, this is just, I just want you guys to see. Now let's move on. Let's see if I do no router RIP. Right, so now the RIP is gone, and now let's create a BGP neighborship. So let's I'm already there, so let's create BGP 100, and then let's create three neighbors. So let's create 10.1.234.2 remote 200, then 300 for 3, and then 400 for 4, right? And then one network statement, which is 172.16.1.0 with the mask of 255.255.255.0. So this is what I have. So if I look at your BGP IPv4 unicast, you can see that I'm advertising it. It's just under process. So now let's move to router 2. Let's do the same, but I will only create the relationship with the BGP. So I will say show router BGP 200, neighbor is 10.1.234.1, remote is 100, and I will also define network 172.16.2.0 with the mask of 24-bit. Right, so you can see that my neighbor relationship is up. If I go to router 1 and if I look at the command Unica, is still under process, but if I look at the summary, I see that I have one neighbor up. So let's go fix router 3. So router BGP 300, neighbor 10.1.234.1, remote is 100, and network is 172.16.3.0 with the mask of 24-bit. So this is very repetitive task which we do just to learn, right? So it's good that you practice as many times as you can, because this is gonna help you remembering the commands, and if you keep on repeating that will be good for you. So now I see here that I have issue. Okay, so my neighbor statement is not right, so I will say no, and I will put a neighbor statement of 100. Okay, now network is 172.16.4.0. Now when you talk and type, you make mistakes, so excuse me for that, as I was talking to. There you go. and now this is done. So if I go on router 1, and if I do the command summary, I have all 3 neighbors up, and I can see that I have received the prefix from router 2 as well. So if I remove the summary, I will see that I am receiving 1, this is my own, 2 from router 2 and 3 from router 3, right? This is what I am receiving. So if we wait a bit, I will also see 4. So here you go, we have 4 now. So if I look at show IP route BGP, so these are in my routing table, and you can see that my next hop is exactly from those routers 2, 3 and 4. Now let's see what router 1 is sending to router 2. Router 2 is eBGP neighbor of router 1. So if I go here and if I look at the BGP table, so we can see that I am receiving 3.0 and 4.0 from the next hop of 3 and 4, right? Now if I go to if I look at the routing table, I see that my next hop doesn't change. So what does it tell you? It tells you that again here we do not need to do shortcut and redirect. If I do a trace, let's say to 172.16.4.4 with source of my loopback, it should go, the first trace should go via router 1. So if I do that, it is, in this case, in BGP case, is not even going to router 1. I think I already have the NHRP mapping. So what I can do, yeah, I already had that from the previous example. So let's clear IP NHRP, and let's do that on all of them just to verify. So let's verify that what NHRP setting entries I have here. I have nothing right now, as you can see. So we'll wait a bit. Now if I look at this guy, he should have 1 entry now, right? So this guy has 1 entry. Router 4 should have 1 entry. Router 3 should have 1 entry. These are static entries, and router 1 should get all the entries. So you can see that 2 and 4 already got themselves registered here. 3 will come shortly as well. Here you go, 3 is come here as well. So now let's move on to router 2 and do the trace. So here you go, it's looking for 4. So let's see, maybe BGP flaps as well. So let's see, show BGP IPv4 unicast. So I have that, show IP BGP, show IP route BGP. I have 1, 3 and 0, which is 1, 3 and 4. This is fine. So now let's move on to our NHRP settings. I can see that 4 is there in use for temporary. So if I do that, it should go directly to 4. It is not going directly to 4. So you can see that now I'm having issues here. So in BGP, it's not gonna go. So let's see what we have on router 4. Do we have any entries here? Show IP NHRP. We have no entries here. So it means the traffic is not reaching here, right? Because router 1 is not giving him any information. So in this case, if you look at it, let's try it from router 3 as well, just to make sure that we have everything as prescribed. 16.3.3 with the source of loopback 0, sorry, 4.4. Even though I have the route, but I cannot reach it. Why? Because I don't know how to reach it, right? So what I need to do here, if I go on router 1 and I say IP NHRP redirect, and if I say on all of this, all of these pokes, okay, I see that the main neighbor relationship went down. So let's undo that. Maybe there's some other issue here. So let's do no IP NHRP redirect. Okay, let's see what we have here now. Show IP NHRP. So we have NHRP, show IP route EIGRP. Oh, sorry, EIGRP, BGP. So we haven't have anything here yet. This is just came back up, right? So there was some issue there. So let's see, show BGP IPv4 unicast. So we got 234. Let's go to 2. Show IP BGP. He got it too. So let's trace now. It should work. Yes, it goes to 1 and then to 4. Now if we look at the mapping, it has the mapping of 4. So now if I go, it should go directly. So in this case we do not need, and that was my understanding, that in this case we do not need phase 3. We do not need a redirect or a shortcut in the commands. So let's remove BGP from all of them. So if I go to config T and I say no router BGP 100, 200, 300 and 400. So now I have all of them gone, right? And let's do on all of them the same time. Router EIGRP 100 and network of 10.0.0.0 and network of 172.16.0.0, and yeah, that is it. On router 1 we will do no IP split horizon. No IP split horizon for EIGRP 100, right? So now if I look at router 2, I should have route, right? So now if you look at EIGRP, which is the recommended one, we see that the next hop is not changing. So now there are two ways. If you want to keep phase 2, then you go on to the tunnel, to the hub, and inside the tunnel interface you say no IP next hop self for EIGRP 100. This is what you do, right? This is what you do, and then you have router 2. If you look, you have 134. Now if you trace to let's say 172.16.3.3 with the source of loopback 0, the first traffic goes to 1 and the consecutive traffic will go to 3. So there you go. You can stop here, or you can go to router 1. You can say, you know what, I don't want to change my next hop self command. Oops. I do not want to change my next hop self command. So if I look at my route, it's 1. So now no matter what I do, if I trace 3, it will go to 1. If I trace another time, it will go to 1. If I trace another time, it will never go directly to router 3, even though we are using phase 2, right? So for phase 2 EIGRP, if we want to do, we have to do the next hop self. Now if we want to change this behavior, then we have to do the phase 3. What we need to do in phase 3, same thing. We do IP NHRP redirect here and IP NHRP shortcut here. IP NHRP shortcut 4 config T interface tunnel 1 IP NHRP shortcut. Now what will happen, that if I look at router 2 and if I look at the route for the EIGRP, you see I have nothing. If I look at the NHRP, I have nothing for now, right? So I showed you both routes. Now if I go and do the trace of router 3, it goes to 1 and then 3, right? But now if I look at my route, you see the percentage sign here. This is going to be override by this is next hop override. So next hop will not be used, this one. Which next hop will be used? we have to see the NHRP route. This is the next route we're gonna use, 10.134.3, right? So this is the benefit of that one. So now if I go to do the trace, it will go directly. Now this will be the same for router 4. So if I do a trace to router 4, the first traffic goes to router 1, and now if I look at the EHRP, now I have 2% sign, and if I look at NHRP, I have 2 next hop override things, right? And now if I go to router 4 again, it will go directly to router 4. So this is the difference between phase 2 and phase 3, and you can practice it and see if that works for you. Definitely work for you, because it's 2 plus 2 4. This is how it works. We just saw that. The next set of labs will be RIP, basic lab, which you might have done on CCNA and CCNP level, or less than that, depend on what I have. And then I will post all of these online. Have a wonderful day, guys. I would recommend do the lab. If you have any questions, you can post it in a comment, and I will try to answer all the questions as soon as I could. Okay, have a good one. Bye.